This is a cross between a banana cake and a sticky date pudding. Bring them together and you've got something quite delicious. So into a food processor, I'm going to start whipping up some butter and some brown sugar. Softened butter. I like to have everything at room temperature. It just mixes much easier. Some brown sugar for that wonderful molasses flavour. And we'll pop the lid on and start whipping this until it's really light, fluffy. It'll also go pale in colour. Right, while that's mixing, we can get onto the date component of this. So we've got some hot water and some dates that have been pitted. I've just allowed them to soften slightly, but to make them even softer, I'm adding some bicarb and we're going to mix that in and just let that sit there for a moment. Now, there's a few ways of doing this. If you want a really smooth consistency, you can blend this, or if you want that chunkier style, just leave this as is. All right, that's looking good. So now I'm going to add one egg at a time. So we'll crack an egg. I always like to crack the egg in the bowl first and then pour it through the chute. And always give it a really good beat before you add the second egg. Second egg in, and then again, another good mix. So that's stage one. Now for some dry ingredients. We'll just stop that for a moment. Let's have a look at the batter. Beautiful batter. In with the plain flour. That's been measured out. And we need a rising agent, so I'm just using some baking powder. A small pinch of salt. Lid can go back on, and just on that lower speed, we're just going to fold in that flour, not to overwork it. So the last thing we need to add is the dates and the banana. Now I've got these frozen banana chunks. I've just defrosted it. You'll need 1 cup of the banana chunks and we're just going to mix it in with our dates. So it looks like this gooey concoction at the moment, but this is what makes it so special. So fold it through. Those banana chunks, really great to have on standby when you want to make a quick cake like this. Right, we'll just stop the food processor and we can pour all of that in. And if you like, this is where you could add lots of different spices. You could add some star anise, some cinnamon, nutmeg. I'm going to keep it really plain because I'm going to add a cinnamon sauce to go with it. And another quick mix, only 5 seconds is required just to fold it through. All right, it is done and it's looking very good. So I've got a baking dish here. I'm just using a square one. I've just coated it with a little bit of oil spray and baking paper, and I'm just going to scoop out this thick batter and place that into the oven. I'm cooking this at a bit of a lower temperature, 160 degrees, and it's going to cook for about 40 minutes, but the time will really depend on what type of dish you use. All right, this cake slash pudding is out of the oven. It's still slightly warm. I love to serve it warm. I've also whipped some cream with a little bit of sugar. It's just a small amount of sugar you need with this because it is quite sweet already, and some vanilla. So into a pot, we need to have an extra sauce with this. So some butter goes in. This is a bit of a cinnamon sauce. So butter, some sugar, more brown sugar, and some cream. So I'm just using some cooking cream. Pour that in. And this is, you know, the wonderful world of caramel right here, which means a little pinch of salt is required. And because this is a cinnamon style sauce, a good amount of cinnamon if you love your cinnamon. Okay, I really want to taste that cinnamon. Cinnamon and banana are just best mates. So we're going to stir that, just let that butter start to melt. So while that's happening, back to the cake. I want to get as much of that cinnamon sauce into this cake just to make it extra moist and special. So I like to use a fork and just very carefully pierce the cake. You don't have to go all the way through. The more holes you make here, the more of the sauce is going to trickle inside and be extra tasty. All right, let's grab this bubbly sauce and now we can just pour it straight over. Do it quite slowly because it's piping hot. Ooh, sticky goodness right there. Keep pouring. And the recipe is quite generous with this cinnamon caramel sauce, but the intention is to not only let that soak into this cake, but also to have some just on the side, just in case you want some more sauce later on. So we'll pour that in there for a side. And lashings of cream on the side. You could also serve this with some cold ice cream. I love the idea of having hot cake with cold ice cream, so you choose. Just pile that up. And I guess the only thing to do now is have a taste. So, big spoon. I'm gonna take a little portion here. You could cut it perfectly if you want, but I don't think it's that type of cake. Oh, look at that sticky goodness. And I'm gonna top it with more sauce. Just a little drizzle. And some cream. Nice big dollop. And just let that melt over the top. This is so naughty, but in a great way. Banana, pudding, cake, whatever it is, all I know is it's going to be super tasty. The ultimate dessert right there. It's very good.